Welcome to Couch Chats, home of the realest and the rawest conversations. Today's guest, South Manny legends, spiritual gangster and badass PT. And I can't forget, fellow commando coach, Mr. Will Power.
Yes, brother.
Brother, welcome. Do you know what? I'm so happy to have you as my guest today. And the reason being is because we share quite a lot. We host men's sharing circles quite a lot. And we share to a certain extent. But now, I get to really get down and dirty with you. I'm hoping I'm going to get a few tears out of them as well.
It's not the down and dirty that you were looking for from the past.
Listen, brother, you're not my type. Put it that way. Now,
I see you screensaver.
Don't look through me properly searching history anyway. Don't bring that up. Now, listen. Your story, I thought my story was powerful. Holy moly. You've been through some shit, bro. I mean, everyone must see now this upstanding member of the community, this great boyfriend, even got a house on the straight and narrow, but it wasn't always like that. I mean, you've had more rock bottoms than Kurt Angle at the 2001 SummerSlam. But anyway.
That was a good one.
But you have, bro, and that's what I like about it. Your story is one where you've overcome so much adversity and you come out the other side and you're helping other people now as well. So I think it'd be a good place to start. I always think it's good to start right where it all began. Tell us a bit about your early life.
Well, I mean, how far do you want to take me back? How far do you want to school?
Tell us a little bit about family life, parents, were your mum and dad around, where were you brought up?
So, born in Wivenshaw Hospital. Actually raised predominantly in Timperley, nice area. It was a Grange estate back then. It's kind of polished itself up now. So spent my time, growing up round in the early life, Timperley, Altrincham, this kind of area. And, in school, it was all kind of like sport, having a laugh, enjoying myself. And, I wouldn't say that I had in the early life, I had a really difficult upbringing. Like my parents did the best, and they looked over me. I was around good people, good environment. And, and I excelled really from a young age in athletics. I was good at English.
Well, because you don't speak very good English now, but...
I was good at art.
Man of many talents, not a pretty face.
They were like the early school days anyway. So it wasn't too bad. And I know a lot of people that have these stories have quite a fucking childhood from a young age. It changed for me when I started getting obviously into high school. Girls came into the equation. Girls, the biggest distraction on planet Earth to man.
Formal womanizer here. Don't tell Demi. Demi's Will's by the way.
Yeah. And then there was, drugs. There was just being exposed to life outside of...
question for you.
Question
for you. When did you first take a drug and what was it?
It was smoking weed, which I think maybe most people start that kind of drug taking. Apart from alcohol.
How did it happen? How did it all happen? How old were you?
My mate started getting stoned. It must have been about year 9 or something. Year 10.
14-ish then, yeah?
Yeah, around that kind of age, which is a bit mad, really, because I was doing well at football. I was playing for Trafford and shit like that. But then a few of my other mates that weren't actually doing that, because I had my football mates, the popular lads in school, all that kind of stuff, that kind of environment, they were all doing their thing. And I kind of had this other group of mates that liked getting high and fucking doing a bit of naughty stuff. So I just kind of went in that direction. I can't remember the first fucking spliff I had up. I think it was actually a bong that I had up. You know what I mean? I think I went straight in, all Cypress Hill.
No fucking about.
It was a bath bong. You know what I mean? I went fucking fully in, mate.
Fucking pop. I don't know.
So it was getting high, mate. It was blasting Cypress Hill round it. I think it was just getting high on the fucking park, firstly. That's where it all began. But, you know, looking back at it now, just thinking about it now, straight away, I fucking enjoyed getting high. You know, I thought, fucking hell, this is a bit different. This is a bit edgy. You know, life hadn't been too difficult up to that point. So I just wanted, I think I had quite a comfortable life when I was younger. Obviously, I had challenges, which we'll get into a little bit more about my alopecia and all that stuff. But in general, there wasn't stuff like abuse or addiction around me at that stuff at a young age, you know. But then I think what happened was once I started getting a little bit older, I seeked adrenaline, living on the edge. I wanted to be around more naughtier people. I wanted to experience maybe or be around that. There was just a pull towards experiencing that. Now I know fucking why. But then that took me on, obviously, another direction with my life, which was which we'll get into now. But
so, I mean, what you normally find is, though, and I can speak from my own experiences, you normally find in these kind of situations when you're a child and you're drawn into drugs, you normally find that there's the ringleaders, the guys who you go out and get the drugs and start doing it, and then you kind of get the people who sort of get pressured into it. Which group were you in, and why did you choose that group?
I didn't get pressured into it. I just wanted to fucking get high. Mm-hmm. I just loved being happy.
Yeah.
And I was the person who would bring joy to the fucking table everywhere I went, even at that young age. And I just wanted more of that. So if I could get high taking a substance or whatever, then I'll fucking get high doing that. And I guess there was, thinking about it, something around belonging, wanting to belong, be a part of, I already belonged in the fucking, the kids that were doing street at football and they were popular around school or whatever, them kind of lads. And then there was, I wanted to be accepted and agree with the lot that were doing the drugs and getting involved with that. So there was a sense of me needing to feel like I belong because, like we know, a lot of these things, it's all about insecurity, right? And filling that void. So I guess I was seeking more of filling the void of not feeling secure, like I belonged, really. Even though I did, maybe that wasn't what I was feeling at that time.
So what were your insecurities?
I always had hang up about the way that I looked, and people would have said I was good looking. Last
you still are very good looking.
Thank you very much, mate. You know what to say.
10-10, Mr. Bart.
So I think there was insecurities around how I looked, and that goes on to the alopecia. I had patches from when I was a kid. And
that must have been tough, bro. You know what I mean? Because I mean, I was obviously brown skinned in a white area, and kids, whilst kids aren't prejudiced by nature, they pick up on things that are different. So when did you first experience that you might not have had the same kind of hair levels like the other kids had?
I love what you said, hair levels.
Medical term, right?
That's fucking brilliant. He's at it, he's trying to hold it down today, but he can't help himself. He can't help himself. He's trying to be
Dr. Foley with
and a bed. Fucking a ring light. Yeah, he loves a ring light. So it was basically, I had alopecia obviously when I was like fucking 2 years old, and it was bad. And I've learned from the work that I've done on myself that actually at that age you actually take in the fear of like your parents. So it must have started then. It must have started then on some subconscious level you take it in. But what I'm consciously aware of is what I spoke about before was a moment in the barbers where I got the odd patch, but my hair was a bit, it wasn't like this. And it was back in the day where if you had it too short, you were fucking expelled. So I had to keep it a certain length. So luckily, I guess, at that time I was young, so I was going to barbers with mum and dad or whatever. They needed, my hair had to be not too short, I'd be fucking expelled from school. So I just remember my mum trying to cover it up. Saying to the barber, just fucking, make sure that's not covered. Because I think she thought, shit, if they might get picked up on school. So no one really knew I had because you couldn't really see them. You'd have to pull back my hair to see it. So I just had little patches. So it began then. I think the insecurities about how I looked started then, and I thought, and then I think that just started manifesting into, as I started getting older and become more conscious about these things and the way we feel about ourselves, then I was like, shit, right, I need to take care of my hair, needs to look a certain way, it needs to always be cut or whatever. And I fell into those insecurities then, and I started to obviously hit the gym, but it wasn't just about being fit and healthy, it was about looking a certain way to feel enough. So it all began, mate, from 2 to then 7 to then in high school. I feel that your insecurities really start to amplify, really, don't they?
I mean, just off topic a little bit. I mean, people always say these days, "But what you were born in the late 80s, were you?"
Yeah,
and I was born early 80s, age now. But people always talk a lot these days about the pressure on people, men and women, that social media puts on them to look a certain way. And obviously, it's massive at this moment in time. But it just shows that it was always prevalent, wasn't it? That kind of pressure. I mean, how did you feel that pressure? How did it hit you?
Yeah, you are right. I was chatting to someone today about the pressures of social media and the difficulties of that, and I can't imagine what it's like now, really, because I'm not that age, and obviously I'm not bought into all that as such now. But for me, I don't know. I think I just fucking formed it myself, because it wasn't like, I think there was OK Magazine knocking about on men's health, you know what I mean? And I saw the fucking guy on FHM looking fucking head, and I thought, yes. I thought that he looks fucking sweet, mate. I wouldn't mind looking like that.
So a little birdie whispered in my ear and told me that you had a secret crush growing up. Talk to me. You know what I'm going to say? Talk to me about Arnie.
So, this is
Will's crush.
Arnie. So, fucking hell, that's funny. You know what? It was Jean-Claude Van Damme. Legend.
Great physique as well, by the way.
Yeah, great physique. There was Rocky. So,
men were men.
It was.
Is that a say that?
Yeah. Well, what I found was that I think that because this is, by the way, the question that he asked me about who was an influence when I was younger, and I feel like it was just men that were being masculine when I look at it, and action men, I guess, was the only way I could relate to that, as in seeing masculinity expressing itself is something that would light me up, or sports people. So they were the people that I would be influenced by, like they would. I would think I wouldn't mind being like that. Whereas other people, I didn't so much look at like musicians and think that so much. I more just thought they're good. I like the music, but I didn't look at them as aspire to them. So I think that's where that kind of putting someone as an idol was with, say, Arnie, Rocky, Jean-Claude Van Damme, all those kind of people. And I guess that's what I then aspired to be.
I mean, obviously, you've always been. We've been very similar in terms of always been into fitness, and as well as fitness, managing how our physique looks as well to a certain extent. Obviously, combined with those guns, not toys. Them, you don't really. You've obviously mentioned that you've had alopecia and that you aspired to be like these guys.
Yeah.
Do you think that you've ever had body dysmorphia at any point?
He's hitting the nail on the head. Yeah. Funny, because I didn't even fucking put this in my notes. But I think body dysmorphia, I think there's so many layers to it. I think it's basically not seeing yourself, I believe, as wholly as you should, as you actually are. So you see your imperfections. I think, in all honesty, to some degree, the lower scale of body dysmorphia, I think a lot of us have got. Yeah. If we're being honest. And I fucking definitely would have had that when I was younger. I'm not big enough. I want to get, I need to get, build my muscles bigger so I feel enough, whatever. Yeah. But that was one level of, but I actually had body dysmorphia fucking bad, mate. So I had that when I went through this, my breakdown when I was 22. That's when I had body dysmorphia, and what I actually went through is pretty heavy, really. I used to see that my nose was out of line. I used to physically see that it looked out of place, but it wasn't. But in my mind, I thought it was. I became obsessed with like hairs being on my ears. Really bizarre, kind of really not like, to me. It was real in that moment when I look back. What the fuck was all that about? But obviously, when I went to psychiatrist, you're suffering from extreme body dysmorphia, where you are actually seeing yourself, a bit like what somebody who is anorexic sees himself as big when they're not. He said there's a way that your mind's gone through the stress and this breakdown that you've gone through. And anyway, we had to discuss ways in which I got better. So I had to deal with that at one time, and that was scary shit, man.
It's hard, isn't it? I mean, as men, we're kind of, especially from our era, we kind of taught that just to crack on and that all these things, or, you know, you get comments like, oh, you're soft, all this sort of stuff. If you even try and discuss those kind of things. So you kind of grew up and I've been through the same myself. You kind of grew up almost not feeling like you can speak about it. I can't actually remember feeling the problem. If I look back, I can't remember thinking, oh, I've got body dysmorphia, but I remember just kind of like trying to brush things under the carpet or trying to do things differently. And it's tough for guys out there, isn't it? I mean, there's not really that much support.
I think guys suffer for it more than fucking women, probably. That's why we're all fucking
controversial as fuck,
twatting the gym out. You know what I mean? Just still aiming for that physique we could never reach. You know, so yeah.
Sad, isn't it? Sad. I mean, you mentioned then as well, obviously, you had a breakdown. I think you've had more than one breakdown, haven't you?
Yeah, I've had two bad ones, yeah.
So, you know, I mean, that must have been a rock bottom moment. So tell us the rock bottom moment. Talk us through it. What the fuck happened?
And so the first one was when I was I remember I had my 21st birthday, which was probably the time when it was all starting to come down, which is young. Remember, everyone's just, I guess back then, I mean, I don't even know what it's fucking like nowadays. Well, I do because of some of the lads I work with, but everyone was just getting wrecked. And I guess it was affecting people mentally in some ways. You know, we were just doing all-nighters, festivals, drum and bass nights, fucking just tearing it up and doing a lot of drugs.
Was there a lot of drugs involved? Yeah.
A lot of drugs, a lot of all-nighters.
Tell us what the drugs were.
Like, coke was massive. Like, used to do a lot of coke, really. Yeah, pills. Yeah, I used to.
What's the most pills you've eaten in one session?
Oh man, I had about 10. Which sounds crazy.
Wow.
Yeah. I was chatting to somebody about this. Like, yeah, I think this is when they weren't fucking as strong as when I first started taking them. Because I think they got weaker throughout my pill experience for about, you know, over them 5 years. Because one Mitsubishi fucking Turbo, when I first started, would have blown your fucking head off. You know, a Smurf or whatever. You know, remember Smurf?
Dopes we had.
Right. You know, that would have blew your fucking head off. But then it got to the point where 5 years down the line, we were having like fucking, about 10. I remember one lad, I won't mention his name, but he had about 20. He was still sweet. He was like, he wasn't sweet. He was like, he was fucked, but he was still getting on with his life. So, fuck knows, I can see why I ended up in the place I did with what I was doing, because it was happening every weekend. Then it started happening in the week. And I couldn't wait to go to the pub, get on it. Then at the weekend, I couldn't wait to party, go to these deep house nights. So I loved music, loved partying. Couldn't wait for it. So I just kept chasing it. But then anyway, I didn't get away with it. I don't think anyone gets away with it, but mentally I didn't. So what started to happen was there was a lot of anxiety going on, but I didn't know I was suffering from anxiety. So I started putting a lot of pressure on myself. I started worrying about or getting concerned about what I needed to do in my life because I was like 21. But, you know, it was just unnecessary pressure that was starting to come on. Then I couldn't stop getting on it, and it just built up from there. So it just happened where the body dysmorphia started coming in. So I started worrying about ways in which I looked extremely. I thought I damaged my nose, which I probably fucking did through the coat.
All the proving you're putting up there.
But it was kind of, well, that's it.
All the bash.
But I was, literally, because I wasn't fucking buying the proper shit. You know what I mean? So my head fucking tripped. I can't explain it, but it was bad anxiety. I didn't know I was suffering from it. Then there was a bit of self-harm. So I was in this dark place, right, where I couldn't stop doing drugs at that age. And then I was also, I had all this body dysmorphia stuff going on. I had all this anxiety going on, but didn't know. And I wasn't sharing it with anyone. I didn't feel safe to share it. I just thought, I'm fucking losing it a bit here, but I can't share it with like my family, and I can't say it to my missus. And my mates aren't going to understand, and I can't stop getting on it. So I was just trapped in this fucking spiral that was playing out. And then I started to cut myself, which was mad, which I've not really spoke about much. I used to cut myself a little bit, not loads. I know people can go mad with it, but I just started to do that as in some way of like kind of feeling like I could ease the pain a bit.
Yeah.
fucking, I'm bringing it back now. Yeah, and yeah, it was a fucking very, very dark fucking place that I got to. And anyway, it got as bad as it can get. Yeah. And I just remember thinking, I got on it all weekend at my mate's house. I was coming back on the Monday morning. I felt so fucking depressed, weird, whatever.
Yeah.
And I just went home to mum and dad's house, and I just broke down to them in the morning. Just it all came out.
Yeah.
And they were like, whoa. And I was just like, and I told them because I was feeling suicidal. I said, I need to speak to you before I do something fucking stupid.
Yeah.
This is what is going on. I'd laid out everything that I basically talked on, and they were like, right, shit. And yeah, they would just have my back.
Yeah.
Do you know what's mad? They had my fucking back, and I was so scared about sharing it because of what they thought. And my partner at the time thinking she's going to think she's not going to want to be with me. I'm a fucking weirdo, you know. And anyway, it all came out, and there was a massive weight left off my shoulder, but I was still depressed. I was still stuck because then I had to get off gear, all the gear. I knew that I couldn't carry on like this, or I would have ended up killing myself. So I thought, shit, it all just came crashing out because I thought, I'm the fucking party guy. I'm the guy who gets everyone out partying. I can't lose this identity. Do you know what I mean? Because Will's fucked off. Like, who's going to go partying with, you know? It's not that, but that was what I was caught up in. You know, it was like, I knew I had to change my environment. There's no other choice. I was too unwell. You know what I mean? I was too unwell, and I couldn't stay in that. So I had to step back from everything at about 22 years old. I had to step back from the partying, from all that. And I took basically a year out. I didn't go and get therapy. I actually went and got discovered Reiki.
Yeah.
Got into like Buddhism. It was a young age, but I just started to delve that way. And that helped me for a period of time. Reiki blew my head off at first. But then what happened was, very quickly in that, from 22 to 23, I seeked out a high then in spirituality. Yeah. So I replaced the high of the drugs. I stepped away from everyone for a period. Still saw people a bit, once to sort my head out. But I was just, I couldn't really put myself in the environment of drinking much. So I might have the odd drink with someone, but just, it was hard, man, because it was a young age. So I just sought solace in spirituality, and it served its purpose. But then I got obsessed in it.
So in reality, if we're both being real, I mean, we both have our opinions on spirituality now. We're both very spiritual people without really celebrating the words. I think that what I'm about to say will explain this, but it sounded like you turned out to be the wounded healer, that person who perhaps used healing as a distraction to maybe. Do you think that it stopped you having to look completely in the mirror at yourself? Would you say that?
Yeah. It had me. It put a mask on the things I was going through.
So you replaced Party Boy Will with Jesus Christ Will.
I was Buddha back then. Buddha. I was into Buddhism a lot. But yeah, you're right. I replaced that high. You know, I went to Reiki a lot as well, meditating a lot, and I was getting a lot of, I was getting some positive feedback from that, and I was connecting with it. But then I wasn't conscious or mature enough to take in the information that I was reading. And I read a lot of books in that year, and I did a lot of stuff. And basically what happened was it ended up fucking me head up even more. Yeah. So a year later, I was even worse than when I fucking had that meltdown. Wow. So then I had to go to the fucking priory and get my head fucking fully sorted out, because I hadn't dealt with the root cause of everything. I was just dealing with the surface stuff and, removing the drugs, but I was replacing them. Sticky, mate. So when I went to the private, then things changed and I sorted my shit out.
So would you say that you were an addict?
Yeah, I was. I was definitely an addict when I was younger. Yeah,
addiction comes in lots of different forms. Yeah, and it's obviously the obvious things that we think are addictions are drugs and alcohol. But again, you have addictions in work. You have addictions in fitness. You can have addictions in helping other people and spirituality. Yeah. So would you say you replace one addiction with another?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and it wasn't really a healthy replacement. You know, you can like kind of healthily replace addictions with like fitness.
Yeah.
And you can't, it wasn't, and I was constantly, and addiction's always avoidance, isn't it? You know, but then you think you fucking, it's always avoiding feeling and all that kind of stuff. So I totally replaced it and paid for it. So you know, when you're at that point, and obviously you recognise that you wear this mask, and you recognise at that point because you thought, oh my God, what am I going to do without being Party Boy Will? And then obviously you had to go through the ego death.
Yeah. Well, that's it, the hero's journey almost to an extent, isn't it? So how did you deal with actually having to look in the mirror? What were your thoughts when you had to start recognising who you really were and that you weren't all these masks and rackets?
Yeah, do you know what? There was 2 layers to it. So there was the one that I had to drop being I still actually carried on being the party boy in a different way later on. But I knew I couldn't be around that environment. I had to change that. So that was one I had to pull that way, and that was fucking hard at 22. Because really, everyone was just living their life. They weren't having to deal with like mental. No one around me, they weren't sharing it with me. We're dealing with any mental health. They're all just cracking on, still getting on at the weekends, going on holidays, partying, whatever. So they were getting on. So there was a really a crisis in my ego and my identity then. Who am I going to be now? What's life going to be like? What's life going to be like now? Or this age? We always kept coming back to this age. Fucking hell, why didn't this happen to me when I was 30? Because fucking hell, I've only just lived my life for the last fucking 5 years like this. Anyway, God had another plan, didn't he? And then there was the one when I actually got to therapy at the Priory. Remember, then I'd replaced it with the fucking spirituality, and that had been my saviour. Then the woman, once she got into grips with me in therapy, she said, right, you're all them spiritual books. She was spiritual, by the way. She was fucking very on it. This woman, she was amazing. She said, I want you to put all them spiritual books, I want you to put them in a bin bag, throw them in the bin, or I want you to put them in the loft. I was like, I can't do that. And she was like, why can't you do that? And I said, well, it's fucking, they've helped me. I wouldn't have sorted myself out. And she said, really? She said, because where I'm sitting is, you look very, very fucking confused. And I was like, yeah. I couldn't argue with it. And she was like, you've got to remove all that because you've got to simplify your life. And I think this is a fucking message for anyone who's struggling with a lot of stuff, whether that is being caught up in addiction or is being caught up in even the spirituality and stuff like that. Like if you're struggling with anything, you've got to simplify everything down. And that's what I had to do. I had to strip everything back, and that was hard again because I had to let go of something that had helped me, but then it also hindered me. And then I had to start again, And so it was difficult, but I found myself for the first time, really, the first part of me when I was then 23, 24. It was a young age to kind of maybe, I guess, find myself and know everyone's just living out a program, aren't they, really, until you start really look at yourself and do the work on yourself. I started work on myself at that age.
Okay. So, I mean, obviously you went through that. You went to have this massive break now, which is huge, bro. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people will be able to withstand that. But did you find that on the back of that and going into the Priory and having this help, did you have anything like depression or any anxiety or anything like that?
Yeah. It was all depression. It was all.
Right. So you had depression as well then? So
depression, anxiety, dysmorphobia.
What was that?
Suicidal ideation. I had to fucking list.
There's a lot of people suffering from depression these days and don't know how to deal with it. So what was your journey with depression like?
Well, I had a battle at first because once I actually admitted that I needed proper help, like psychiatric help, then they wanted to put me on medication. So I'm not fucking taking medication, no chance. So the guy, they're not there to force it on you. He said, well, okay, you might get better without, you're not well enough to get therapy yet. So you go away, have a little think about it, and let's see what you like. And then maybe you can have therapy in a couple of weeks once you feel better then, if that is. But he said, I'm going to say that the state that you're in, you're probably going to need something. So anyway, I went away and then went through a whole process of trying to fucking work out what I'm going to do with this because, I'll get through it, I'll do it, I'll be able to do it without medication. I just couldn't get there, I was fucked. So I went back, I had to have medication then. I was on put on sertraline.
Yeah, common one.
Your common one. So I went on sertraline and then just sat there and just went on walks and stuff and just simplified everything. spent time around family and my partner at the time, and just got there and just rested. But it was hard because in no man's land, felt like I had no purpose, felt even more depressed. And then I was just in that for a while. But I did get to a point where I wanted to live again, and I wanted to sort my life out.
Yeah.
And, so then I was well enough for therapy, and then the journey of therapy started. So I had cognitive therapy. I did some stuff around trauma from things that had gone down. So I did, EFT.
Okay, yeah.
Fucking powerful, which was the tapping, which I thought was nuts.
What does it stand for? For people who don't know about it.
Emotional freedom technique.
Yeah.
So, I did some tapping, worked on some trauma that I had been through, and started feeling better, started fucking wanting to live again.
Fantastic, bro. Now, one thing I want to talk about, which is, I feel is a controversial topic right now, is antidepressants, SSRI, selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, like your sertraline. There's probably quite a few others out there. And my experiences with them, I've never taken them myself, but I've had partners who've been on them, I've had family members who've been on them, and my experience of seeing people on them been very negative. And the feedback that I've got from people, and people who I've coached and mentored, they've been on them, and the feedback I've got is negative as well, that they numb them and they don't actually fix anything. What was your experience with antidepressants?
I wouldn't say they were great, but I don't feel that the position. Well, I tried to do it without them, and I actually couldn't. So, I felt like, I think if I'm going to just talk openly about the whole thing, I think they're handed out way too easily nowadays when people don't need them. I've even told mates that have shared or people I've mentored, I've kind of ran through a list, because it has to get to critical. Personally, I think it has to get to a critical place like where I was at to even entertain it. I think just giving you because you've been feeling low for like a couple of weeks, or you've been in this lull, isn't right. You can probably get through that with coaching and mentoring, therapy. Like, you really can. You don't need them as much as they hand out. I think they handed out way too much. However, if you're critical and it's acute, and even Deepak Chopra talks about this, and he's about functional medicine. There's only real time that they should really be used. So it was a positive in the fact that when you're really bad, it works for me, and I've seen them work for people when they've been really bad. But you've got to be. It just depends on your level of suffering, I guess, and pain. So yeah, that's what I'd say about them. They're still dished out way too easy. I think most people could get the help through mentoring, coaching, or therapy. Really, still.
Well, congratulations on getting through all that, bro. That was fucking heavy. Even listening to you speaking about it, it's fucking heavy, bro. I feel it, man. Good on you for getting through it. And moving on to some more positive things now. Me and you I'm sure I've known you over the years anyway, so most Hellraiser being out and about in town, and I know certain door lads I worked with, you had a reputation for fighting. Don't know if that's true or not. Guilty as charged. But we really connected after lockdown, and we'll speak about that shortly. But one thing that we did connect over is men's work, and when I say men's work, I suppose helping men in the community, helping them develop, coaching, men's transformational works. So how did you get into that kind of line of work?
Well, obviously I spoke about that breakdown that I had when I was like 22, and then I had another one when I called my marriage that I was in a day, my late 20s.
Oh shit, you divorced, aren't you?
Divorced, I was going to start bringing this in now. But then when I called that day, then I went through another breakdown. They were the two breakdowns. Managed to get myself sorted out again through a similar process of what I just explained before, with Priory and medication. Then I came out of that, right, when I was like 30, and I thought, right, I've nearly written myself off twice now through not listening, for too much pressure on myself, through getting back into drugs again on a pretty heavy scale. Like, what do I need to do? Because therapy's helped me get out of a dark place, and it's touched on some of the past stuff that I'd been through that I needed to look at. But I thought to myself, I don't want to I can't end up in this place because I lost everything twice. I mean, I didn't have loads at 21, but I had a lot more when I was fucking 30. I lost everything. So I thought, I can't go through that again. I'm not going through that again. So I need to do the work on myself to dig deep into that shadow, into them defects of character into that part of me that is sabotaging myself, putting too much pressure on myself, and having me end up in these positions. Because if not, that was going to be my story of my life. I'd do well for a good amount of time, I'd do well in my 20s with business and my relationship and all that at the time, and traveled and stuff. But then I was like, if I don't sort this shit out, that could just happen again.
Yeah.
So then I was like, right.
You start becoming self-aware and having accountability.
Self-awareness, accountability. Started to think, right, I need to do the work on myself because I don't want to end up there. And that's where it started. So I went to, started doing shamanic healing first. But actually
All about that
synced out the shamanic mentor. She was really good. Went on a lot of shamanic journey, did some shamanic healing. It was pretty powerful shit, to be fair. It definitely serves a purpose. If you get the right person, there's a lot of fucking charlatans out there, as we know.
I just remember seeing your profile picture of this guy sat on top of a mountain with a fire in front of him, looking into the distance.
That was in my fucking spiritual
dickhead. Spiritual Steve, that's what they call
him. So I went through, I did that, but then what actually tied off from that was the woman was linked to, I actually started dating somebody and she told me about Mankind Project as well at that time. So I actually went and did the Mankind Project, but then I was pointed towards Band of Brothers, and I knew that it was all in the context of like shadow work, which was about looking at, your shadow and all them things that have you sabotage yourself and basically cause yourself to suffer almost unnecessarily through not consciously being aware of the way that you're showing up in your life. So I went and did the work on myself. So I did the shamanic healing, did the got into men's work, went through the Mankind Project, got a lot from that weekend. Didn't feel like joining the community, but then I discovered Band of Brothers. Got into Band of Brothers, saw that there was something about that, loved the weekend away, and liked the community, thought it was great, you know, what they were doing and what they were doing, helping the younger lot. So I started to just do a lot of work on myself, and I decided that if I keep doing this work, and I knew I was doing a lot of healing on myself, and the last person in that puzzle was Savina.
What you saying, me then?
Was Savina, who I met, who's still my coach, the general. So I started going for sessions with her, and she, at this time then, what's mad is I was on this healing journey, and then I thought I fucking cracked it. Then I met Safina, and then all my hair fell out. Then COVID happened, and then the big and then I met Demi, and then a big load of fucking work done. But before all that happened, I thought I cracked it, done all work myself. But that was one of the key bits of digging deep into all that old wounds and, my hair being lost, Safina, and the things she was pressing me on and making me look out to do my old relationship and everything. And kind of it all got rooted up before COVID and in COVID, and Demi as well played a big role in, being that mirror and getting me to look at myself. So that's where I did the work on myself. And then from that, I always knew once I came out of depression that I just, even when I wanted to fucking throw myself off a bridge, I literally drove to car parks that were high enough to do it. And I was thinking about doing it. I wrote enough letters. But I always thought, I'm not fucking doing this, no matter how hard it is for what I'm going through. I thought, I'm not doing it because one day I'll be able to help other people that are maybe in these positions, or I'll be able to do something that supports them because I'll have lived experience of overcoming this. So even though I had about that much light, that much hope about getting out of it, I always knew that I would give back one day. And the last 5 years, I believe that I've been doing that. And I have passion to do that because I don't want, if I can help others through sharing my story or by doing some of the mentoring and coaching that I do, and that brings them some level of peace or some healing that they maybe need, then that's what that's what I'm here to do. That's what I feel I've my gift back to society is, and through that will I believe that if you transform one person's life, or man's life, if we just keep it with the men's word that we do, then that could ripple effect, and he could impact somebody else in a positive way, and then it just spreads out. Before you know it, we've got a more whole and complete and solid men in our community.
So let me just summarise that. So in essence, you're saving the world.
You got it.
You heard it here first. Willpower is saving the world. But no, I completely agree with that, because I say something similar as well. I completely agree with it. It is a ripple effect. And one thing that
I'm making my and I'll say this, really, the reality of it is I feel that I'm making playing my part in helping the world become a better place. Do you know what I mean?
Most definitely, and it leads on to setting an example, leading by example. Someone has to lead by example, and I think it's really important that we're never all truly healed. I mean, you can have an argument with someone today. We can have an argument, then we've got to heal from that. Do you know what I mean? You're never truly healed, but what you have done is you've gone down the healing process. You started taking accountability, and you started taking action.
Yeah,
and you're also integrating that shadow. And what better person to lead by example to the rest of mankind or humanity or the rest of the world than someone who's done that? So I applaud that. But what it leads on to now is the reason that we started doing this whole podcast in the first place, and it's exploring healthy masculinity. Yeah. Obviously, masculinity, I can only really speak about the UK, but, you know, male suicides, the highest they've ever been. Young lads are behind girls in grades in school massively. Lads, employment in young men is going further and further down. Mental illness in men is going up. Men are becoming high victims of domestic violence. There's lots of things in which we are falling behind, really. It's not a competition about men against women. I completely believe that we are equal. In a lot of instances, I believe that women are stronger than men, but that's another story. Controversial. But, I mean, what's your take on masculinity in the UK at the minute?
I think it's. I don't think anyone. I think it's lost. If I was going to say anything, I don't think people really know what, I guess, healthy masculinity is, and I'm not going to sit here and say I know. You know what I mean? I'm here, and I know that this podcast that we're starting, and we're going to be speaking to lots of different men, and there's going to be some women on here, and our question is going to be about healthy masculinity, because we're exploring what healthy masculinity is. But what I would say that it is to me is that it's a man that can take accountability and responsibility for his actions and how he's showing up. So if he shows up a certain way that isn't cool, that isn't okay, that is impacting a negative way to people around, he cleans it up. He cleans that up with himself, with his family, with his friends, whoever. He takes responsibility, and I think that's fucking key. He's integral, he's honest, and that is a key foundation of the way that he shows up, and that he, presents himself to the world, because without integrity, nothing works, like Mark says.
You're exactly right.
And, and through, and then also, he fucking takes care of himself. Like, he looks after himself. He goes to the gym or does whatever it is that sort of moving his body. He eats well. He sets an example to other people around him. He's a gentleman. He's kind. He's honest. He's caring. He's also he has boundaries, and he doesn't take shit. And he delivers them and stands firm in his ground and stands up for what he believes is right. So there's also, it's that whole balance of that masculine, and also integrating that part of the feminine aspect that we've got in us, of compassion and having an open heart and being loving and understanding of others, and being able to fucking listen, which is a big part of being a human being.
You've learned that a lot,
I have, and for being told you're not listening, and then being defensive and saying I fucking am. I'm stood here. I'm sat here.
It's rigged to fuck.
Yeah, exactly. So. I feel like if I can be some form of a role model to the younger men and to any men, even the older men, because, older men still, need to do some of this work on themselves. and that can make an impact, a positive impact for them to change their ways and live more by them principles that we've talked about. And then that's a good thing because, men have, and women both as well, but men especially have played a huge part in building the world and society in their own way by being out there and being, the great creators and inventors of so many things and stuff. So if they're in a healthy place and they're doing good and they're taking care of themselves and their family and they're showing up this way, that's only going to create a better society and a better community. And I think that's what I'm passionate about men living by them kind of principles and morals, and that influencing positively the younger lot, especially because they're the ones that are going to take on from us. But to bring that through into kind of the world and society, and that will create a better world. If everybody does that and spends that time with a lot of men and women in their own way do their thing, then we're going to build better and stronger, more solid communities. And we're not going to be sidetracked and distracted by all the bullshit that's out there. You know what I mean?
Well said, bro. Well said. I mean, my opinion on it is that it's a lack of healthy masculinity that's creating a lot of the problems they're in today. And without going down the conspiracy line, which I might go down a bit later.
Can't help himself. We're trying to do our best.
But what I would say is that I do feel like there is an attack on masculinity, and it's almost like, to say the woke brigade. I don't want to sort of label anyone. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion. I'm far from right. I'm right a lot of the time, but sometimes I'm not. But I do believe that it's a lack of health, and I want to use the word healthy masculinity, because we both are, both men and females, or whatever you want to classify yourself, we're both made up of both masculine and feminine energy. We just got to get the balance right. There's no kind of right or wrong for what balance you do have. But the lack of leadership that's out there, you look at, I think it's something like a stat, like a very high percentage of people who are in prison come from single-parent families where they don't have a male role model.
Yeah.
And again, is that a coincidence? I don't think it is. And also the fact that we've got so many single-parent families right now, again, I could definitely put that down to a lack of healthy masculinity. So what you're doing in terms of being a role model, that's essentially, in my opinion, what we've got to do. And that's what we are doing with this podcast to one extent and purpose. But moving to something else now, obviously, me and you, we've got quite strong opinions on certain things that are going on in the world. What's your favourite conspiracy theory over the last 5 years?
COVID-19 is a blag, mate. Yeah, that's what I think. But, we're not trying to go down too many routes, but there's been some fucking funny ones, like the I'm still waiting for Project Bluebeam to happen. Do you know what I mean? I found that one quite funny. I'm not into the flat Earth.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe that we live on a flat Earth.
Yeah,
that's what I think. And we live in a dome or whatever.
What about reptiles, Rothschilds, and Agenda 2030?
Yeah, I do. Lizard. Yeah, I believe that.
Hello, David Icke, if you're watching.
Yeah, thank you. The Palladians, the Syrians, we're all back. We came back. I think it's all part of this fucking dream that we're all living in. This. I think there's positive and negative. There's light and dark, and in the ethereal realm, I guess the Draconians and the lizard people, they all look a certain way and they have an agenda, like Star Wars, the Anunnaki, whatever. There you go, way off. Something like that. But and then there's other light beings that have come here to do their thing. I believe that there's definitely truth in that. I actually used to buy into it a lot, and it was quite fun to buy into it, and I had quite a bit of a laugh with it. But now it is what it is. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just bring it a lot more down to earth. I find that we have more of a laugh about it when we talk about it.
So you've obviously now got an amazing other half, Demi. Show some love to Demi. Hi, Demi.
Yeah.
And you've got, from what I see and from what I witness and I see you both together, and I feel like I learned a lot from you both. And I feel that you and them is quite a good example of what a healthy relationship is. I'm sure you do have your ups and downs, like anyone does. With you're male, she's female, and like any friendship or connection you do. But what's it taking you for you to get to that place of a healthy relationship?
Open and honest conversations at all fucking every step of the way. And do you know what? I would say that Demi's the one who initiated that, because she wouldn't let anything go under the be brushed under the carpet. And it was quite a lot at first. I mean, at first, when you're in honeymoon period, nothing. We just lived that normally, really. Well, kind of, but we were two wild fucking new ages at that time. So I guess that's a honeymoon personified. You know what I mean? But once we fucking come back down to earth, and then we got into the real life human relationship.
I don't like these conscious relationships. Yeah, I'll say something.
Yeah, all right. So once we come back from fucking flying up there, it's about complete
complete.
Oh, that's funny. We're gonna have to do a fucking podcast on that today. Then it was literally like she just wouldn't step over anything, and I found that really hard at first. And we battled. We clashed heads quite a lot, and COVID played a part in that. Because we were with each other quite a lot, and it took a lot of work to have to sit there and have these conversations and really start to look at the truth of what was standing in our way in our relationship, ways in which I was showing up that weren't okay, and I was holding the mirror up to her, she was holding the mirror up to me, and we worked through it. We had some, again, thanks to Safina as well in moments. Yeah. I've really seen that, to have a conscious relationship and that. Hats off to anyone who's able to and not have some mediation from someone who fucking knows what they're doing at times. Because we were not listening, and we needed that third person at times to really listen and also get complete with stuff where Landmark played a key part, which we both did Landmark. And we got to really start clearing up our past and clearing up any stuff so it didn't exist still in the background of our relationship. Yeah. And we worked through that, and we stayed true to it, and we're integral with each other, and we still do that now. And the head-to-heads are far less. There's just a unity and a team between us, but it's come with some hard work, and people would split up. Because I've seen people split up because they're not willing to do the work. And I get it. One of the hardest things I would say out this whole fucking spiritual journey or conscious journey is having a relationship with somebody and wanting to grow consciously in that relationship, because your ego is so vulnerable to what is being projected from the other side and shown from the other side, that it's easier just to opt out and not stay in conversation or in the game of trying to sort that out and work through it, because you're going to feel like shit, because it brings you to your knees a little bit.
Like a microscope, isn't it? It's like a pressure cooker, isn't it? Where you're together and you're at danger of taking things very personally, aren't you?
Well, you're doing that a lot of the time, and you have to keep dropping that. That's been a big listening. So we stayed in it, and we as well throughout that time. You still had great times throughout that time. But now we're in a time of real, like, it's like a real, it's a real coming together. Where there's something special about it, but it requires the work to get there.
So right now, I mean, to me, Noah is a friend, as a brother, as the better half of the commando coaches.
Hey,
he's the intelligent one and the good-looking one. So right now, when you've got loads of positive stuff going on, obviously, you're a leader at a band of brothers. I mean, the main project you've got going on is Couch Chats. You're a top and well-respected PT. You've got the Farm Club. You've got your own event, Sanctum, at Drywave at the minute. So that's a non-alcoholic rave as well. So, and also you do public speaking as well, which is really, really good motivational speech. So you've got loads of positive stuff going on at the minute. So, what's next? What's next for Willpower?
I just feel like I've just got to keep going the way that I'm going. What is next is me to continue saying no to stuff I've discovered, because, you know, I'm really fortunate through, I believe, the work that I've been doing on myself. And I think this is the beauty. I've been listening to Jody Spencer's book. What was it called now? Which one I'm listening to? Something about breaking the habit of you or something. And anyway, he talks about how doing the work on yourself is really important, because once you get a lot of that shit out of the way and the negative stuff that you're holding on to, you can't always see, you can manifest a lot more effectively. And I was like, yeah, fucking I've seen that. And as I've got a lot of that out of the way these last 2 years, I really feel like I've excelled. Don't get me wrong, I've worked fucking hard to get there, and I'm consistent, I show up all the time, I'm integral, I do all these things, and I'm really at this place now where if I just keep, and this is what Tate says, to be fair to him, he just says, just try your hardest, keep showing up every day. Life will fucking work. You'll hit a lucky day. And that resonates with me. And that's what I keep saying. I don't feel I can go wrong. I just go off inspiration and off intuitively what feels right to commit to move toward. I kind of follow my bliss. I chase my kind of passion. And I just bring my energy and my full self into that, and that opens things up. So I think what's moving forward for is more public speaking on I've been speaking on some pretty big levels now, but I think I feel see more doors opening up with that. I think there's going to be more work within men's work, not just in the Abandoned Brothers, but through stuff that we've discussed and what we're doing here. So that'll be great, and be more of a positive role model with that. I can just see business and family life expanding and growing more and more as I just continue to be this person that I've become through what I've overcome, really. You know, there'll be more sober events, but things as well. I'm aware that, you know, I'm playing a creative part, obviously, in my life, and I believe in destiny, and I believe, obviously, in God. And we're just in this transaction right now. There's alignment between us, and I also know that things can change. I can say that I'm going to do this, and something will happen. I was like, you know what? I'm just not going to do that for now. And it would be something I'm totally convinced I was going to do for the rest of my life, and it might not be anymore. So I'm doing what I'm destined to do, and I'll just continue to do that, whatever that looks like. But that looks more around like coaching, helping, supporting people, being more of a speaker, being out there in the world, having fun, bringing light into people's life, joy. I think that one of the key things that I feel like I'm here to do, as being actually a male and being what I'd like to be, a figure of maybe healthy masculinity, is also this kind of things around freedom to express and be who you want. You know, without getting in your own way and being so caught in the judgment of yourself or other people. And I think I'll just continue to be a stand for that in this lifetime, and that should free up other men and other women as well. It won't just be for men, to feel that they can feel confident and okay to do that themselves, and that should make the world a better place.
Brother, you're a legend, an inspiration. It's been an absolute pleasure. Willpower.
Legend. Thanks, mate.